Hello, everybody. I'm Jalen, and it feels good to be back in my survival world here. I know it's been kind of far and few between on the last couple episodes here, and today I'm biting off quite a lot, so that's why this one's ending up taking a while here. But yeah, we're back at our spawn area here, which I haven't done a whole bunch of building here since I opened up the ability to come back here in this season, really, so thought it'd be fun to come here and do a little work, and I'm going to spend 100 Minecraft days just building up this jungle area over here, kind of complete the bay. We've got our spawn area looking pretty good, and our villager area here looking pretty good, and I feel like if I just spend 100 days focused on building and just building up this one area, I think we can get quite a lot done, and I really think it's going to end up being a cool little montage of just seeing it all come together. So got a good amount of materials here. Obviously, I'm going to need a whole lot more than this, but I've got a lot prepared and a lot in my storage over there. So mainly today is just going to be a whole lot of building. We are going to have to clear the area a little bit to give me some room to work here. And this forest was filled with a bunch of the really big oak trees, which was kind of annoying. But yeah, my plan is to just have some villager huts along this cliffside here, and I'm originally going for 5 here, and I just want each to have its own little plot of land and kind of have them at varying heights and different sizes and even a couple different shapes here and there. But I do want them all to kind of go together, kind of like a resort type of feel. Yeah, like I said, try to get at least one that's not just a rectangle in here. But yeah, I got our 5 plots set up here, and I figured rather than go in the little assembly line like I usually do, I thought it'd be fun to just take this first build and kind of build it up here and show you the process. So we'll just see how this comes out. I will say I looked up some AI concept art. I think I just searched like waterfront jungle village, and it just gave me a few pictures of some different types of buildings, and that's kind of where I got the idea for the shape of the buildings here, which you'll see when I put the roof together, just with the little overhang here and then the roof going over the top. I will say I end up kind of regretting doing the bamboo for the roofs, mainly just because bamboo ends up really being a pain to gather. I thought I had a whole lot, which I did have quite a bit, but once you start using it for the roofs, it just goes super fast. I definitely end up having to make a couple trips out to the forest. Luckily, I have a couple humongous bamboo forests, so that definitely worked out. But yeah, you can see how much bamboo these roofs are using. Now, I was also thinking the yellow might have been kind of bright, but as I kept adding things and filling the area in, that ends up growing on me pretty good. Yeah, just going with my normal details I usually go with. I always like flower pots in front and adding lots of greenery, and that will definitely be a theme of this episode. I'm trying to really lushify the jungle here, and I'm going with a bunch of the cherry leaves kind of as the main plant that grows around here. And I also wanted each house to have its own little dock and a path down to it, and I think that'll just do a lot to really add to the shape of each build, kind of just be part of the house itself, and also add to the resort feel that I was kind of talking about. And yeah, I put in a good amount of work down here, trying to make the cliffside just look a little cooler. I'm just really trying my best to have everything look like I gave it a little bit of attention. And kind of start small, and then as the episode grows, we keep expanding on things. But I think as a sample of what I want the rock area to look like down here and what I want some of these docks to look like, I think we got the concept down pretty good here. And I'm really liking how everything came out here so far. Go ahead and hop in the boat here and get our first view from the water out here. And this is just the first of many times where I'm just really starting to get excited for this project. Just figure that's just one building, and we got 4 more where that come from, and that's just to get things started here. So yeah, as we expand the rock wall around here and just get the plants all spread all over and just get a few more buildings up, I just think this really has a lot of potential, and I was really starting to see it at this point. So yeah, at this point, I'm just gonna put my head down and get these buildings up. I definitely underestimated how much materials this whole project was going to take, so I do end up needing to chop a whole bunch of jungle trees throughout the whole time, and needed to take a trip out and got a bunch of terracotta. But yeah, you can really see what I'm going for here, and again, just every time I flew out there and saw the progress as we were going here, I was just getting more and more excited for this build, and that just doesn't stop throughout the whole episode. So it says a lot for where this is going here. And yeah, I did spend a couple days just AFKing down at the skeleton farm just because I did need a whole bunch of bone meal. I think I was only down there for like a half hour just while I ate something real quick, and spent a whole bunch of time, couple days, and a couple other trips out here I don't even show, getting a whole bunch of bamboo, because if we want bamboo for all these roofs, I needed a whole lot. So I was kind of tired of bamboo by the time this was all said and done. But in the end, like I said, I think it ends up looking better than I thought it was too. Just with the yellow, it really pops. And like I said, as we add things in here, the yellow ends up looking pretty good. And I did go with flatter roofs for a lot of these buildings and just use slabs, which I thought looked good and did save on some materials. I did use stairs on the big one, though, because I wanted it to stay a little taller than the other ones. And yeah, that was a job there. Getting all those buildings up and all the roofs on. And we're really starting to see things come together here. And something that I feel like gets lost in a lot of YouTube episodes, including mine, is just all the times of taking a step back to your viewpoint that you're trying to really build on and seeing all the little steps of progress. So you might get kind of tired of that by the end of this episode, because I will be making sure that I'm stepping back and letting y'all see the little bits of progress as we go. And speaking of progress, I got in a good build mode here and just put my head down and tried to catch these buildings up to make them look like the first one. And like I said, I do cut out a few trips of gathering things here and there, but sometimes I'll throw them in just to show you that I was working hard. And yeah, when I'm doing a bunch of buildings at a time, this is a lot of work to do all these things. Even though it's a repetitive process, it takes some time. And I will mention my plan for this area down here is to have there be a bunch of auto farms, so that I just have an area where it's my main area for auto farms, since I have my iron farm up there, which does prevent me from being able to have villagers down here. I was imagining being able to have villagers run around, but I can't have a bed within about 100 blocks of my iron farm. So essentially, these are just going to be places for some auto farms, but we'll make them look nice. But we're not going to be doing any of that today. Today we're just building the area up. And building we are doing. Getting all the docks in here, and definitely a good little detail to add here. Like I said, just getting the different angles in the builds, and it just adds to the square buildings themselves. And we definitely are getting this little resort theme that I was talking about. And yeah, just getting the details brought in a little bit. And now once we get these cliffs looking a little better, it's going to really be looking pretty decent from out here. And I'm just getting real excited for the area, and the ideas are flowing at this point, let me say that. But I did put in a good amount of work down here, just trying to have the whole cliffside look like I gave it a little bit of love. And what do you know, we're stepping back again for another look, but this time at nighttime. I just wanted to show you how cool it's looking at nighttime here. And just this different angle. I'm really liking the scale I'm going with, just a little bigger than what I've done. I'm kind of just adjusting to this scale at this point, and I'm really thinking it's making a difference in my projects here. Then I spent a bunch of time, like I said, I want this area to be really lush, so I thought mixing in a bunch of moss and getting some of the azalea trees, as well as quite a few of the jungle trees planted as well, just the natural jungle trees, but they look really good. Eventually I'd like to come and maybe build some custom jungle trees, but that'd be too big of a project to try to squeeze in this 100 days here. But I definitely do a whole lot of work just really making this area thick and green and lush, and I end up kind of going with these flower shapes with the cherry leaves, kind of like oversized flowers, and we end up expanding on that a little later. But I did spend a lot of time getting this greenery spread around here. I will mention I'm working through the nights for the most part. I sleep every now and then, but for the most part I'm working straight through the night, so about 20 minutes a day here. And yeah, you can really see the difference that the lushness is doing for us here, and just getting the cliff sides all matched up and finished. And yeah, I've set out to get these 5 buildings built just to kind of get myself a visual for the area, and see. I wanted to see how long it was going to take, and it didn't take as long as I was thinking. So I was really planning in my head a bunch more building here. I want to point out this little cavern that we got going down here with the water that extends under our iron farm up there, and we got this really cool little cave with the lake down here. It needs a bunch of work to get looking better, which we're gonna attack a little bit later, but for now I'm trying to just do some terraforming here and give myself a little bit of extra land so that I can get a couple more buildings built that I want to have kind of higher and looking down on everything we've built so far. So I end up taking on quite the project here of getting some land made for those. Once again, one of those projects that you just don't think about how much material it's actually going to take, because I need all this dirt, and then I also need to connect it to the ground down there. But I think as far as the level, I'm liking where we're at. It's going to, like I said, be up just a little higher looking down on what we built so far, and I wanted to do the same over here, so I had to chop a whole bunch of trees over here. Again, a bunch of the big annoying oak trees. But yeah, I just got putting in a platform up here and figured that I'll blend it with the land as we go, and I'll figure it out. But yeah, get myself a nice high platform so we can have a couple buildings giving us just some different levels in the little village here. Going with my normal little rock walls to connect the dirt to the ground, and this is where we're really going through the materials. But luckily, I was pretty well stocked going into this. So over here, I wanted to have a more gradual slope up to the new level that I had up there. So I'm going to take a whole bunch of dirt to slowly work my way down here. And it is going to end up creating a little tunnel here with the water going beneath that I'm going to work on here a little later. So I was thinking about that as I was doing it. And we still used a little rock wall at the back just for the final connection. And I think using the cobble deep slate as kind of the back row ends up just looking really good and adding just a little bit of extra depth. I think our new areas are working out perfectly here. For this one, I ended up creating a lot more space than I had really intended, so I actually got space for a couple more buildings here than I was really planning on, that we're not going to get to today, but definitely got our space to get one good building up there kind of overlooking things. And like I said, just creating some layers to our little village here. And yeah, we'll put some work into this canyon here later, but for now, I want to get some buildings up. Again, just kind of following the template we had before, and I'm just going to get out of the way a second and let the buildings pop up. Take a little glide down here just so you can see what I'm going for here, and ends up being a fairly majestic looking building here, at least once we get it all built out. And I want to do the same thing over here on the other side, just creating different levels to the village. And I just feel like having them kind of on the outside there is going to just balance things out really well. And yeah, not doing anything different here, but just putting in the work. I did do the roofs a little different. I didn't have the little overhang. I ended up going for big windows on these ones. Just make them a little different, and I figured being kind of the buildings on the top looking down, I think the big windows would be kind of cool. And I think the shape ended up working out nice for them. Yeah, you can see just having these in the background, I think is just really going to add a lot to our village here. And I did a whole bunch of work getting some greenery added around just to make everything all match up, as well as getting our oversized flowers placed all over the buildings. And yeah, this is something I did many times throughout this episode, is just spreading a whole bunch of greenery around, just making the whole area thicker and thicker as I was working on it here. Got the flower pots filled in as well, and that reminded me that there were a bunch of flower pots on the original buildings I built that I didn't really finish up, so that got me filling these up, which just another little detail that made everything look better. Yeah, I think just getting these new buildings here really starting to balance things out, and I'm just really liking how things are going here. And I just, well, like I said, was in a good building mode, and at this point got working on some paths down here, just making sure each individual building has a path leading up to it, as well as texturing the main path here like I like to do. Just my favorite combo: path blocks, coarse dirt, some mud bricks, and oak slabs, and you just can't really go wrong. Just try to be as random as you can, and always ends up looking good. Especially here in the jungle, I think it works out really well for what we're trying to go for here. Then I spent a little while going around and just creating some random stones, just getting little bits of gray in there, as well as adding the bushes on top. Just little details like this, slowly but surely bringing our jungle to life here. And again, just spent some time thickening things up here a bit. I've said it before, I'll say it again, just getting little paths put in like this, humongous detail. I'm trying to get rid of all the yellow flowers. They just don't fit the theme very well, but yeah, you can really see just how thick we're getting here, like especially between the houses. I'm just really liking how things are looking. And the angle from this side, just really getting the vibe that I'm going for here. And I do have some build ideas, but before I start too many new projects, I want to make sure that I get all these to a point that I feel pretty good about. And there's a lot of areas that some of the buildings, when I was doing the assembly line, I slacked on a few things, a few of the trims, and just getting some of the window seals finished and things planted. So I just spent a good little while just bringing things up to par. And then I decided I better take on the project of getting the floors filled in. And each building is 2 floors here. So this was kind of a tedious, fairly boring project, but got to get done, and it does feel good to have done. And it makes it easier to traverse when I'm building here, because now I don't need to make a temporary staircase up to the top level every time. And I'm just going with the spruce on the bottom and oak on the top for, I think, all of them here. And again, when I come and do the individual farms in these buildings, we'll adjust things accordingly. But I did want to do a bunch of texturing, and I needed some serious packed mud for that, and I didn't have any wheat, so I spent a little while farming my big wheat field down here. I didn't go all the way, but I probably should have, because I ended up needing to go back. I also spent the night just hunting some creepers, because I was out of rockets, so I needed to build up some gunpowder there. And then we took a flight all the way out to the mangrove swamp here to get a whole bunch of mud, because I was about out of mud at this point. For being as far as I am in this world, I'm still not doing great on materials, and I do need to do something about that here. But I got what I needed for now, so we got doing some serious texturing here now. I'm just doing the jungle wood, just the top level. I'm just doing the jungle wood and the packed mud, and I just think it looks really good. I've kind of decided with the terracotta, sometimes I don't like trying to texture it. I feel like it ends up just looking a little blotchy for the terracotta just specifically. So I end up just leaving that as is. I could end up going and changing the whole colors at the bottom if I want to eventually, but I think just the terracotta looks fine. But getting this little bit of texture in the top levels in the jungle wood, I think looks really good. Now some people might not feel like it's worth it, especially after you get done putting all the work in, but I just think it just makes things look just a little less artificial. I know it might not even show up on YouTube that well, but definitely does for me. And yeah, I know I've been saying the whole time, just slowly but surely this place is coming together so nice. And honestly, I could be done at this point and feel like I'm really happy with the area, but that's what I like about doing this 100-day challenge, is I've got 44 days left, and it's just forcing me to really expand on things. But yeah, take this flight out here, and You can see with the new buildings behind, just exactly what I'm going for. Just really expanding the area. But I got time for one more building here, and this is going to be the biggest of them all, and it's going to be an angled building over here, kind of hugging the bay, completing the circle. This is going to be a big part of the whole village here. And even though it's at an angle, it's still just the same process as all the other buildings. Once you learn how to work at angles, they're not as hard as you might think they are. It's still just a matter of picking out your spots for walls, doors, and windows, and you do got to adjust a few things here and there, and some things might look a little awkward, but you really start to get used to it. But for a big roof like this, I had to make a whole nother trip out, a whole day and night, chopping bamboo out there. And I got in just a pattern for the angled roof like this, just going slab and plank, slab, plank, slab, plank. And it ends up have a nice, perfect, gradual rise up the roof and looking really good. Got a little shape up front here, and you can see all the bamboo we needed for that. And while I was working on the roofs, I didn't want these ones out here to be so flat in front, so I extended the fronts out of a couple of them as well. Just trying to not have straight lines. Anytime you can avoid straight lines. But yeah, just got back to work on the house here and kept plugging away. And like I said, this is the biggest of all the buildings here, and being at the angle will make it a little harder to work with, but it will be fun trying to figure out what kind of farm I want to put in here, and what kind of farm I want to put in all the buildings for that matter. Like I said, I haven't put too much thought into that yet, just that I want this area to be a good spot to go and just AFK for a little bit and really have it be doing some work for me. But I also want it to look pretty, so I just kept plugging away, matching this building up with the other ones. Like I said, even though you're building at an angle, it's just a matter of still doing the same things you do for the other buildings and just put up with it looking a little awkward sometimes. Like I said, another trip out, getting a bunch of wheat, just because this was going to take a whole bunch of packed mud as well, being the biggest building of them all. And I realized I was in a really good building zone when I realized that I built this whole house from start to finish, looking fairly decent on the outside. Obviously no interior, but I got some texture on and got it looking good from the outside and lots of blocks placed, but we did that all in 8 days. And I feel like that's pretty good. 8 Minecraft days to get this all built. But I wasn't satisfied yet. We got to make it look good on the outside as well. And this ended up being another one of those projects, just using a lot of unplanned materials. But I do think we end up getting this blended in really nice. I do like the little slope we got there, and getting this rock wall back here ends up looking really nice as well. But we got to give this place its dock. And I think this ends up looking really cool with the angled building here, and I end up going with the straight angled docks, but just the way that it combines up with the building to just have the different angles ends up looking really cool from a distance. Put in a whole bunch of work trying to match the rocks up here with the rest of the rock we got going on, as well as a little sand beach I thought was a cool addition. But every new build ends up being a whole bunch of greenery placed. I try to not be skimpy either, even if I'm getting tired of placing it at this point. Of course, got to get the little path built up. And back to placing the oversized flowers here. Even though here in just a little bit, we're going to make these look like baby flowers. Not getting too far ahead of ourselves there yet. Spent a whole bunch of time just spreading the greenery around, as well as planting a few jungle trees just to bring it all together. And yeah, it really made a difference on this place. At this point, it's been 12 days since we started the house, and to have it looking like this, I feel like I'm getting a lot more efficient with my building, at least when I have the materials, even though I had to do a good amount of gathering to make things work for this as well. But yeah, just getting the lushness around here, and yeah, like I said, having the straight docks going with the angled building, I think just looks really good here, especially when you fly out and take a look from the distance, and the way that the building just finishes the bay and just really evens out the village down here, and with the iron farm behind it, and everything is just looking really cool. Now, before I got going on my last major addition to the base, which is really what's going to bring it all together and probably be the coolest part of it all, I wanted to do one last little session of just doing some chores. The main thing being getting rid of all the torches I can. I'm sure I end up leaving a few, but for the most part, I get rid of all the torches and replace them with disguised pumpkins, whether it's under carpet or slabs. As well as using some lanterns on the buildings and replacing all the torches on the buildings. And I just think this is the step that really brings your village to the next level. Once you get rid of all the torches, it just looks so much cleaner and really looking cool at nighttime around here. Now, we found this little guy here, and I put the light on, and it's a brown panda, which I've seen brown pandas before, but very rare. Definitely never baby panda. So I wanted to save this guy. I put him in a boat here, and we're going to try to make him our pet here. But I go to bed just because I was hearing the phantoms out there, and he disappeared. I thought he was going to be safe in the boat. I felt really bad. I really wanted to do something with that guy. But he did prompt an idea that if I can't really have a village down here, I think I am going to eventually try to still get it all enclosed and have a bunch of animals running loose down here. Maybe even just mainly pandas. But that'll be something for the future. For now, I still had a couple chores I wanted to do before my last final project. Getting these last couple paths built up to the newer houses, which I hadn't done yet. And I think that this one particularly ends up looking really cool, just winding up the hill here. I really like how that came together. This one ends up looking really cool as well, just going right along the top of the entrance to the cave here. Get it winding just a little bit as well, just to get that little bit of shape and just a little bit of blending. Didn't have to do too much work here, but yeah, just kind of like the docks, this is just another one of those additions that just adds so much to a build. It just becomes such part of the building itself, and just makes it everything not so square. That's the main thing, is just trying to have things not be so square. And I think it's looking really good there, especially as we're getting the greenery added in. Same over here. But one last thing I wanted to do before I get going on my last final detail that is what's going to really put the cherry on top of the area here is just wanted to put a little bit of work into the caverns down here. I just want to get the water all the way through so that you can take a boat from one side to the other, and it'll actually connect our river systems up really well. So it's a pretty key area that I really want to finish. So let's put a little work in here. We've definitely got some time to kill. Like I said, I would have been happy with where I got even earlier in the episode. So pretty much anything we do at this point is a bonus. And let me just say, what we're about to do is a big bonus. But first, got to get this cave kind of finished up here. Did a good amount of terraforming, got a river planned out and met it up with what was already there. And yeah, this area is feeling pretty ready to have something cool built in it here eventually. And then I did end up coming over to this end, and I needed to extend this underground a little bit, which I plan on maybe digging out the whole canyon and having the whole canyon go through. But for now, it'll just be a tunnel. But it was a good amount of work getting this all stretched all the way across here. But I did make it 3 wide, so plenty of space for a boat to go through. And now we got our river system set up. So one of these days I plan on maybe ditching my elytra for a little while and just doing nothing but boats and horses around my base area. I think that would be cool. And once we started doing that, having this connected to the river system would be really nice. Yeah, put a little work on the rock wall down here in the canyon as well while I was at it, just to make it look a little better, because we are going to be seeing it from the top, and yeah, might as well have it just look like I did something to it. Like I said, just trying to have as much of the area feel like I put a little love into it. And I think this little canyon is looking really nice. But now for the main event, which I think, after all this building we've done all this time, and I've only got 14 days left, I think from what we do from here on out is what really makes this whole village just a build that stands out in my mind from other builds I've seen or done. And that is some serious oversized flowers here. And this is the first one I made. I didn't sketch these out in creative or anything. This is just totally freestyling here. And for these first ones, I try to go with just these 2 wide little petals here. I'm kind of thinking of the blue orchids, the kind of oversized shape of the blue orchids. Just a few petals extending off and some of the pollen in the middle. But yeah, when I flew back and saw this sitting there, especially the way it's lit up, and I just really envisioned having a whole bunch of these throughout the area, I really was excited. And it was relatively easy to build as well, but we're going to make it even easier on ourselves here in a second. But yeah, when I saw this, it just stands out. Even that little bit of work on that flower, I think, is one of the coolest things in the whole base. And it's going to be very easy to get a whole bunch of those up. So take a good look now. This area is about to transform. Like I said, for the first ones, I was going with little 2 wide petals here. But then I adjusted to just single block petals, so it was a lot easier to build, and I still think it ends up looking just fine and almost a little cleaner. You can just get the nice shape planned out a little easier. And yeah, it ended up that I could pretty much make a whole flower in 2 minutes or less. And I flew down here, and yeah, seeing them grouped up like this, kind of get that Honey, I Shrunk the Kids vibe. And man, I was real excited when I got building these. It's been something I've thought about doing for a very long time. I would say these are even bigger than I was planning on, but it's just amazing how easy they are. Like I said, some of them probably didn't even take 2 minutes, and it's one of my favorite things in my world at this point. I feel like my last few builds, I've really been doing better at coming up with something that just differentiates my builds from each other, and just anything I've seen, just doing that one thing that just kind of off the wall that can really bring a build together. And these flowers are a perfect example of that. Or like my glass sky in my Elven cave is another example of that. Just really makes the area special. And oh man, we put in some work here. Take this flight out, and I couldn't be more excited for this area here. I wanted to fill in the bay, and I feel very happy with what we've got here. It really stands out, and I love just having the color, and it's just so full, and I can expand on it so easily. It wouldn't take that much work. And yeah, we just got a few days left, and I just did a few odd jobs just making some of the rock cliffs look a little better, replaced any torches I could find. This was a big job, but climbed up all the flowers and replaced the torches with jack-o'-lanterns or glowstone or something, and spent a whole bunch of time just placing some greenery around, and spent the last couple nights just digging out this tunnel more and more. I was just ready to be done at this point, and I didn't want to start something new, so I just dug out this tunnel a whole bunch. Eventually we might come out and make it a canyon, but it works out cool as a tunnel anyway. But we are on our final sunset here. I should have mentioned that if you didn't look, we started the episode on day 2820, so we are on our last sunset here. And I know I say it oftentimes, but I think it's just because as you build, you just get better and better, and I just think this is one of my favorite things I've ever built. I think this and the Elven Cave are two of my favorite areas I've ever built. And I've built a lot of areas. We got our villager area here all looking cool, but that's a bunch of things together. This is just one big project. And yeah, especially at this exact time of night, this exact time of the sunset, there is just something really magical about this. I think just the shape of the flowers, the wispiness, you could put a lot more work into flowers and make them look pretty cool, but I think just for as easy as these were, I couldn't ask for them to be doing more for me here. And yeah, like I said, at nighttime, this is just something really special here. I know it comes through a certain amount on YouTube, but I think it's even better in person. But I will go ahead and go to sleep so you can see everything in the daytime here. And this view coming out of the house here is the same feeling I was getting when I was building my fall colorful trees and coming out of that house and just having the nice tall trees coming out, and this just is doing the exact same thing for me here. And yeah, just overall, there's just so much I like about this whole area here. Everything just has my fingerprints all over it, I guess you would say, and just how thick I ended up getting the jungle here and getting different random flowers around the ground, and just the layout of the village itself, having the houses overlooking the lower ones, and just the way it looks from the distance out front. And like I said, top floors will end up being auto farms, and then I'll decorate the bottom floors just to make them look cool. But yeah, this is another big bonus, just having this view of the bay that I haven't really had yet, and now I'll have a reason to enjoy that view. And this is going to be a view that we expand on as well. We definitely got room to grow out here. It would be very easy to just take over this whole jungle here with this big oversized flower theme, and I'm thinking that's probably going to happen. And I also want to point out that just in my time building over here, the iron's been building up over here, and I've never really had an iron farm before. This is by far the most iron I've ever had. So I'm real excited about that, and that's along the reason of why I like the idea of just having this be a micro farm area, or a little bigger than a micro farm, just a little step up from my other micro farms I built, but just having a bunch of auto farms over here, just so it's an area that whenever I'm over here working, we got some things being really produced, iron being the main one. So I'm probably going to end up using a lot of that for a beacon at some point. But yeah, take a little view of the canyon down here. We got this looking really nice, and this is definitely a area that I could see myself wanting to build something in here eventually. Probably will be a while before I get to that, but the fact that it is right at our spawn area here, I do see it being something that I will eventually get done. And I did test to see if I trimmed the vines with scissors. I thought that they would maybe stop growing, but I guess that's still just a Java thing. I thought that was coming over to Bedrock, but apparently not. But yeah, every time I take a step back and get a new view of this place, I just got to pinch myself a little bit. Honestly, I remember not that many years ago, if you would have shown me a picture of this and told me that I would be building it, I would say you're out of your mind. So let that be a tip to you upcoming builders out there, and that sometimes you might not realize that you're getting better, but it's just baby steps at a time, and then all of a sudden you'll just have these revelations where you really start to see some progress, and this is definitely one of those for me, I feel like. But yeah, definitely appreciate you all bearing with me here. I know this episode took a while to come out. Obviously, did take a lot of work, and it's not like I haven't been working on it, but I've also been streaming quite a bit over the last couple months here, just kind of as I've discovered that I do enjoy the streaming process. But don't worry, I will be getting in a better mode of keeping the episodes coming out and kind of streaming when I have the extra time. So, but yeah, come check out the stream. There's got a new stream only Forever World going over there. But yeah, as always, appreciate you all for coming, and have a good day.